Yo, 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 what is going on, RoK Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are bringing you back some more high quality content, information, and education. Today we're going to be touching on another important role that players can have within their alliance, and that is going to be the role of a war rep or your PvP war/officer. Now, also keep in mind this does not necessarily mean it has to be an officer, it's just usually most of the time it is. It is just not limited to just that. Now, before we kind of dive in on what the tasks, role, responsibilities, expectations are of someone who kind of is taking up this role, also remember that it is also not limited to just one person. As always, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and get part of our Discord to join the conversation, you can find a link to that in the description and pinned comment down below. Okay, so first things first. What is a war rep, right? If you're a war officer or you're someone who is kind of leading that area of your alliance, you are essentially the kind of PvP expert, right? You are the most war proficient person, if not one of the most war proficient people in your alliance. So you are there to, again, be someone who understands in-game mechanics. You are aware and up to date on the metas, right, for each of the KVK seasons. When it's starting out in your home kingdom, right, you are able, essentially what needs to be done, right, and we'll get into a few more things as well. The second part here is that for number two, you need to be able to advise players, right? The expectation is that you are giving out not only PvP and war advice, but you are able to help the alliance and specifically the alliance members in answering their questions, right? Whether it's possibly having a dedicated chat where you add everyone, and then you can get all the members into a chat, right, where you can answer questions for them, right, kind of have some back and forth dialogue, some conversations about PvP tactics, and again, being the go-to informacion, right, aficionado on war and PvP related information. Number three here, and this is kind of what we talked about before, it's important to stay up to date on the metas. And this can be whether you're following the metas, maybe you're inventing and pioneering the metas, whatever it may be. But sometimes it can be good to not only be up to date on the meta, but just up to date on kind of PvP related things. You never know when you're going to watch something, read something, hear something that can click something for you, or maybe you just didn't know that something existed and now you found out. Maybe it gave you some inspiration. Whatever it may be, it can be good to constantly be researching information. This can be, for example, watching YouTube videos on fights, on KVKs, on right, maybe there's people doing Sunset Canyon, whatever it may be. Right, it's important to make sure that you are staying up to date on those things, right? Whether it's in addition to YouTube, right? It could be Discord, it could be blogs or articles, it could be reading battle reports, right? These are things that you can do. Even, for example, which we'll get into another one as well here later, doing things like theory crafting and play testing, right? This would probably be number 4 that I would say. Being able to theory craft on your own, again, play testing with a team can be extremely important, and it can allow for you at times to either confirm things that you're hearing, test new variations out, maybe, again, as we mentioned before, kind of establish and form your own meta, or maybe even just confirm what's being done, right, to see if things add up. Number 5 here is going to be building a network. Have a team of people that you can build around. And this is kind of twofold. One, I think it's important to build a network, and this can just be a network of people that are PvP specialists, right? They are, again, they're experts, if you will, in their fields of enjoying PvP, right? They do a lot of these things that you as a war rep would be doing yourself. And so, again, kind of befriending, finding these people, kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, right? Sometimes it's good to have a nice team together that you can think tank with. Is fantastic. In addition, even if you could do playtesting with. Now, most of the time, the playtesting would probably be done, on your home kingdom or wherever you have a strong enough account and enough commanders to actually do playtests. But in theory, being able to do these things can help so much when you are able to not only do the theory crafting, but doing the testing yourself. Because when you do testing yourself, you don't necessarily have to go to someone else, and you don't also have to necessarily tell anyone, right, the results of what you're finding. That can be extremely beneficial. The next thing here, which is number 5, is understanding, or excuse me, what did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm number 6. So for number 6, understanding mechanics. Understanding in-game mechanics, not necessarily relying on others, but really figuring out those things for yourself, right? Understanding how to kind of set up talent trees. Why do you set up talent trees in a certain way? Being able to discern skills and the active skills right along with any of the additional ones that factor into commanders being more proficient as things like a rally leader, open field, right? Defensive garrison captains. These are things that are important to try to get an understanding of. So that way, not only will you have then the knowledge, and you will be able, and you would have comprehended why it is that certain commander pairings are being done, why certain commanders are being used as a primary versus a secondary. Trying to really have a good understanding there is important. Not just going off of something you read, a video you watch, right, just to kind of get the quick facts, but understanding why it is that these commanders are being used over others comes from understanding how to interpret, how to read, and then how to compare things like what the active skills are, the passive skills, again, setting up your talent tree. These things are important. Why would you put certain equipment on certain commanders, right, based on depending on what the use is going to be? All of those things factor into having a full and complete, for lack of better words, understanding again, but it hammers the point home. Then we get to number 7, right? As a war rep, it's important that you are preparing things like mails, write-ups. That can be for your alliance in your home kingdom. It could be for your alliance going into KVK. Maybe you guys are going to do some mock, some test battles, some skirmishes with others. Being able to have prepared documents and templates written up on tips, best practices, maybe certain strategy or tactical scenarios. These are things that you as a war rep should also be able to do, because it's one less thing your lead or another officer has to do. And because you know these things, ideally for the alliance, right, the best, it is always preferred coming from the rep, right, who is kind of in that specialty, right? In this case, yourself. So those are my tips, my kind of best practices on if you want to be a war rep, pretty much what you have to do, the information you should know, and what the expectation is going in on how for you to disseminate and best disseminate that information. With all of that being said, that is pretty much it for me. It's actually going to be a shorter video than I thought. But again, if you are interested, or I should say more specifically, right, if you are a war rep, or if you're someone who's thinking about it, I would love to know and obviously hear from you in the comments down below, right? One, if you are a war rep, what are some other things maybe you do on top of what I mentioned that you find helps a lot? And then 2, if maybe you didn't know how much that went into this, I would love to hear kind of what you think after watching this video. Again, let me know those and anything else in the comments down below. That is it for me. Until next time, I'll catch you later.